My beloved, I need you to pause for a moment and truly listen to what I'm about to share with you. This message that's reaching you right now is carrying something meaningful, something intentional, something that found its way to you for a specific reason. Out of the millions of people endlessly scrolling through their lives, caught in the noise and distraction of the world, your attention stopped right here. That wasn't random. That wasn't just coincidence or chance. There's something waiting for you in these words, and I want you to stay with me until the very end, because the understanding you're about to gain might shift how you see yourself and how you understand what's happening with someone very important in your life. There is someone thinking about you more than you realize. There's a person whose mind returns to you repeatedly, especially in the quiet moments when the world slows down and there's nothing left but their own thoughts. They replay conversations between you over and over again, not because something went wrong, but because something went right in a way that surprised them. They find themselves looking for small signs from you, searching for messages or moments of connection, and they barely admit to themselves that they're doing it. But they are. Every day they're doing it. Yet there's something holding them back. There's something they can't quite make sense of, something they're struggling to understand and accept. And it's connected to something about how you look, about your appearance, about something visible about you. But before you let worry flood in, before you start imagining all the painful stories your mind might create, I need you to listen very carefully to what I'm about to explain. Because the truth here is so much deeper than what first comes to mind. This isn't about meeting some standard of perfection. This isn't about beauty standards that society has been pushing on people forever. This isn't about what other people have told you over the years that you should become or how you should look or who you should be. No, this goes to a completely different place. This is about something emotional, something that lives beneath the surface, something real. If you've ever felt like someone pulled away from you because of your appearance, if you've ever wondered if maybe you weren't pretty enough or weren't what they wanted to see, then these words might speak directly to your heart in a way nothing else has. And here's the part that might surprise you. The very thing they're struggling with, the thing that confuses them and frightens them, is actually the exact thing that makes them love you more as time passes. Not less. More. Yes, you heard that correctly. Don't stop reading now, because what comes next might completely transform how you see yourself. This person notices things that almost nobody else seems to pick up on. While other people see your smile and move on, they notice the sadness that's quietly sitting behind it. While others hear your laugh and think it's just happiness, they hear the exhaustion that's underneath. While the majority of people glance at your face or your body for a moment and then forget about it, this person studies every detail like each one carries meaning. Like your appearance is a language they're trying to understand, and that realization scares them deeply because being in love with you feels dangerous to their heart. You carry a presence that forces people to feel things. You expose people emotionally without even trying. You make others face truths they've been avoiding for years, maybe their whole lives. And the thing they're struggling to accept about your appearance isn't actually physical at all. It's what that thing reveals about who you are at a deeper level. Maybe it's the tired look in your eyes that tells the whole story of everything you've survived. Maybe it's the way you hide pain under a mask of being okay. Maybe it's that quiet insecurity you think nobody notices, but they see it clearly. They noticed all of it, every single part. And it affected them much more deeply than they expected, because they never imagined that someone like you would suddenly appear in their life. They were prepared for temporary things, surface-level exchanges, uncomplicated feelings, people they could understand easily and predict. And then you showed up and suddenly nothing felt easy or simple anymore. There are nights when this person finds themselves staring at photographs of you longer than they should, not because they're criticizing you or picking you apart, but because they're trying to solve a puzzle they can't explain. They're trying to understand why your face makes their heart feel things they can't find words for. One part of them wants to move toward you with complete honesty and openness, but another part wants to protect itself, to keep distance, to stay safe. And the reason is that your appearance carries something real. It carries honesty, it carries authenticity, it carries vulnerability and truth. And genuine things have a way of terrifying people who have spent years learning to hide behind emotional masks. Listen carefully, because this next part matters deeply. The thing they struggle to accept isn't that you're imperfect or flawed in some way. It's that you're genuine in a world that's become increasingly artificial. Do you understand how rare that actually is? Think about it. We live in a time of filters and carefully constructed images. We live surrounded by performance and false confidence and rehearsed smiles and people offering temporary affection that disappears as soon as something better comes along. In that world, your appearance reveals something authentic, something that hasn't been edited or filtered or made acceptable. And authenticity forces people to look at themselves honestly. It demands that they drop their own masks. That's why this connection feels so intense. That's why they move closer to you and then suddenly become distant without explanation. That's why their energy seems to shift when they're around you. Because every time they look at you, something happens inside them that they can't control. Something moves inside their chest. Something wakes up that they've been trying to keep sleeping. And what happens next might shock you. One day, sooner than either of you expect, this person is going to stop fighting these feelings. The walls they built around themselves are beginning to crack, slowly, quietly, in ways that nobody around them can see. But before that moment arrives, something unexpected is going to happen between you two. Maybe it's a conversation. Maybe it's a single look. Maybe it's a silence that means everything. Maybe it's a moment that seems small from the outside but changes everything on the inside. And when that moment comes, you're finally going to understand why they've been acting the way they have. You're going to understand what's been driving all of it. Because deep down, the real truth is that they were afraid. Afraid that if they let themselves love you, it would expose their own insecurities. Afraid that your honesty and your truth would reveal emotional wounds they've been carrying around for so long. Afraid that someone as genuine as you could see right through every layer they carefully built around themselves, all of their armor, all of their protection. This person remembers the smallest details about you, things you probably forgot about yourself, the way your expression changes when you're trying not to cry but failing anyway, the way your eyes look away when you're hurting deeply, the way your face softens when someone finally understands you, the way you move your hands when you're nervous, the specific sound of your voice in different moods. These details play over and over in their mind like a song they can't stop hearing. And they dislike how powerless it makes them feel because they always wanted to be in control of everything. But love doesn't ask for permission. Love doesn't care about control. It just arrives quietly, and suddenly you're not the same person you were before. And now they find themselves caught between two opposing forces. Part of them wants to resist you with everything they have. Another part wants to give in completely and stop fighting. But here comes something nobody expected. The very thing they struggle with about your appearance is actually connected to a wound in their own past. You remind them of emotions that they buried deep down long ago, not because you did anything wrong, not because you hurt them, but because your presence wakes up feelings they believed had disappeared forever. That's why they sometimes stare at you in silence. That's why they occasionally become unusually quiet when you're around. That's why they seem emotionally overwhelmed in your presence. It's not rejection. It's not them pulling back because you're not enough. It's emotional fear mixed together with feelings they can't deny. And the moment they finally accept that truth, everything begins to change. Their silence changes. Their energy changes. Their actions change. Because deep inside, they already know something important. They know they can't easily replace you. Nobody else carries your energy. Nobody else makes them feel understood in quite the same way. Nobody else reaches their soul with this kind of depth. And even though they're struggling right now, even though they're confused and scared, their heart has already begun choosing you. Quietly, without announcement. But definitely. There's a reason you found this message tonight. There's a reason your spirit felt drawn toward these words. You've spent too much time questioning your worth because of insecurities about your appearance. Too much time believing that love is reserved only for people who look perfect on the outside. But genuine love doesn't start with perfection. It starts with recognition. Recognition of something real. And this person recognizes something rare inside you. Something unforgettable. Something that's impossible to ignore. That's why they keep coming back emotionally even when they try to create physical distance. That's why your presence stays with them even in silence, even in separation, even when they're denying how much they care. And tonight, whether you realize it or not, something has already started to shift. The connection between you is changing gradually. Something beneath the surface is moving. Something that neither of you can fully control anymore. The emotions they've been trying to suppress are becoming harder to ignore. The feelings they once pushed aside keep coming back stronger than before. Every attempt to convince themselves that you're just another person eventually fails because your impact on them goes beyond logic. It's not something they can think their way out of. When they wake up, thoughts of you appear without warning. When they're busy, something reminds them of you. When they try to distract themselves, memories return anyway. And although they won't openly admit it, their heart keeps returning to the same place. To you. What confuses them most is how natural everything feels when they allow themselves to be honest. The connection doesn't feel forced or manufactured. It doesn't feel like something they need to perform or pretend about. Instead, it feels familiar, comfortable, real, and that reality is both beautiful and frightening for someone who has spent years protecting themselves from being vulnerable. Some people fear love not because they don't want it, but because they secretly want it so much that the possibility of losing it feels unbearable. This person might be carrying exactly that fear. The deeper their feelings become, the more they realize how much they have to lose. The more they care, the more vulnerable they become. And vulnerability is incredibly difficult for someone who's experienced disappointment before. Yet, despite all of that, they continue moving emotionally toward you, slowly, carefully, almost without realizing it. Because there comes a point when the heart grows tired of fighting what it already knows to be true. There comes a point when fear becomes heavier than honesty. There comes a point when silence can no longer hide what's real. That moment might be approaching faster than either of you expect. The signs are already there. The lingering glances that last a little too long. The emotions that go unspoken. The moments of hesitation before they say something. The strange shifts in their energy. The inability to completely let go. None of those things happen without reason. They happen because something meaningful exists beneath the surface. For now, all you need to remember is this. The qualities you've questioned about yourself might be the exact qualities that make you unforgettable. The parts of yourself you worried about might be the same parts that reveal your humanity. And your humanity is what makes you real. That reality reaches people more deeply than perfection ever could. Perfection can be admired from a distance. Perfection can be appreciated and forgotten. But authenticity can be loved. It can be carried in someone's heart. It can change a person, and somewhere inside this person's heart, that truth is becoming impossible to ignore. The connection continues to grow. The walls continue to weaken. The resistance continues to fade. And little by little, the feelings they've tried so hard to contain are finding their way to the surface. The story is still unfolding. The emotions are still developing. But one thing is becoming clearer with every single day that passes. Your presence has changed something inside them, and no matter how much they try to understand it, analyze it, or escape it, their heart continues leading them back toward the same realization. Some connections are simply too meaningful to forget. Their resistance is gradually fading. Their emotions continue growing stronger. And very soon, they're going to have to make a clear choice. They're going to have to decide whether to continue hiding from these feelings or finally admit the truth they've been fighting all along, that they love you deeply and completely, not despite the thing about your appearance they struggle with, but in many ways because of it. And when that realization fully reaches their heart, it's going to become impossible for them to look away from you. There's something they've never spoken aloud. Something they hide every time they look at you a little too long and then quickly look away. And tonight you're finally going to understand why. This person appears normal around everyone else. Calm, collected, unaffected by the ordinary events happening around them. But when it comes to you, everything changes completely. Their emotions lose balance. Their thoughts become louder inside their mind. Their heart becomes restless with feelings they struggle to control. And the most unusual part is that it all begins with one detail about your appearance that they cannot stop thinking about. Not because it pushes them away, but because it draws them in too deeply. This connection is much more intense than you currently realize. Every time they see you, something inside them shifts. It shifts permanently. They notice details that nobody else seems to notice. The softness in your expression when you pretend everything is fine, but it's not. The loneliness hidden beneath your confidence. The silent emotions that your appearance reveals without ever speaking a word. And it frightens them because they know this is not ordinary attraction. This is not shallow. This is emotional recognition on a profound level. There are moments when this person tries to convince themselves they can move on from you. They distract themselves with other responsibilities. They stay busy to avoid thinking about you. They force themselves into conversations with other people. Yet somehow every path leads back to you again. Why does this happen? Because your appearance carries a feeling they cannot easily replace. Not perfection, not fantasy. Reality in its purest form. You feel real to them, and genuine love is incredibly rare in this world. Do you know what frightens people the most? Not rejection, not distance, not silence. It's finding someone who truly reaches their soul. That's exactly what happened when they met you. Your presence touched places within them they believed nobody would ever understand, and now they cannot escape that feeling, no matter how hard they try. This person remembers the first moment they truly noticed you. Perhaps you believed it was just an ordinary day. Maybe you thought nothing important happened at all. But for them, everything changed, because in one brief moment, they saw something in your appearance that felt deeply familiar to their heart. A sadness, a gentleness, a quiet strength that most people miss. And suddenly, without any warning, their heart became emotionally attached to you. That's why they watch you differently from everyone else. That's why their eyes hesitate sometimes. That's why their energy changes around you without any explanation that makes sense. Listen carefully now, because this next part matters more than you realize. The thing they struggle to accept is connected to how deeply they already care about you. If they didn't love you, none of this would affect them so strongly. But it does. Every single day it does. And they're trying desperately to hide it from everyone around them. Sometimes they pull away because your presence feels too emotional for them to handle. Not beauty in the ordinary sense, but emotional beauty. The kind that cannot be explained with simple words. The kind that lingers in someone's thoughts at midnight when they can't sleep. The kind that returns during silence. The kind that changes a person forever. Very soon this person is going to reveal emotions they've been hiding for a long time. It might not happen directly at first. It might happen through a small action, a message they send, a glance that lasts longer than it should, a brief moment of honesty they never intended to reveal. But when it happens, you're finally going to understand something remarkable. They were never judging your appearance at all. They were fighting their own feelings. They were trying to protect themselves from emotional vulnerability because deep inside, they already know you're different from everyone they've ever met. This person secretly worries that you don't fully understand your own worth. They notice how hard you are on yourself. They notice the insecurities hiding behind your smiles. They notice the moments when you avoid attention because you fear being misunderstood. And every time they see those moments, their feelings grow even stronger. Because your imperfections make you human, and your humanity makes you unforgettable. Late at night, when everything becomes quiet and the world slows down, this person thinks about one question over and over again. What if I lose them? That question follows them more than they admit. Because despite their confusion, despite their fear, despite all their emotional resistance, their heart has already chosen you, and they know it. That's why your appearance affects them so deeply. Not because it's flawed or wrong, but because it carries an emotional honesty they cannot ignore. You remind them that love is not about looking perfect on the outside. It's about feeling understood, and you make them feel understood in ways nobody else ever has. The distance between you is not permanent. The silence is not permanent. The confusion will not remain forever. A turning point is drawing closer. And when that moment arrives, this person will stop pretending they're unaffected by you. They'll stop hiding behind emotional walls. They'll stop running from the connection that exists between you. Because some people enter your life for a season, but others enter your soul forever. And whether they admit it now or much later, you've already become unforgettable to them. That's the truth. They can't escape it anymore. They can't rationalize it away. You were never supposed to hear this truth so soon, yet the signs have become impossible to ignore. There's a person watching your silence more closely than your words. A person pretending to remain emotionally distant while secretly becoming more attached to you with every passing day. And tonight, the hidden reason behind their behavior is finally beginning to rise to the surface. This person has tried everything to control their feelings. They told themselves it was temporary. They convinced themselves they were imagining the connection. They tried focusing on logic rather than emotion. Yet every time they see you, everything falls apart again. Because there's one thing about your appearance they cannot emotionally escape. Not because it bothers them, because it reaches them too deeply. And the surprising truth is this. They're afraid that if they fully accept how much you affect them, they may never be able to let you go. That's the secret they've been hiding all this time. Every time you walk into a room, this person notices the shift immediately. It's no longer something they do consciously. Their eyes search for you automatically. Their attention finds you before they even realize it. And no matter how hard they try to act unaffected, something inside them always responds to your presence before logic has a chance to intervene. Their emotions react before their thoughts have a chance to stop them. What troubles them the most is knowing that you probably have no idea any of this is happening inside them. You see someone who appears calm and composed, but beneath the surface there's emotional turbulence they rarely show anyone. The thing they struggle to understand about your appearance is deeply connected to vulnerability. Perhaps it's the softness resting in your eyes. Perhaps it's the tired expression that appears when life feels especially heavy. Maybe it's the quiet sadness hidden carefully behind your smile. Whatever it is, it awakens a protective feeling within them. And that feeling frightens them more than almost anything else. Because once someone begins caring deeply, they also risk being hurt deeply. That's why this person sometimes becomes distant without warning. It's not because their feelings disappeared. It's because their feelings became too real to ignore. There are nights when this person replays conversations with you repeatedly inside their mind. Not the dramatic moments, not the obvious moments, the small moments, the way you looked away while thinking, the way your expression shifted for a brief second before you hid your emotions again. The way your face revealed feelings that your words never expressed aloud. Those moments remained with them. And no matter how hard they try, they cannot forget them because your appearance communicates emotional truths your voice never says directly. And somehow they hear every one of those silent messages clearly. That's why they struggle so much. They were never prepared to meet someone who feels this genuine. Life taught them to expect temporary people, temporary attention, temporary affection, temporary promises. Then suddenly you appeared carrying sincerity within your eyes, and now their heart no longer knows how to fully protect itself. This person compares everyone to you without even meaning to. They try speaking with other people. They try distracting themselves with responsibilities and routines. They try convincing themselves that they can move forward and find someone else. Yet something always feels absent. Nobody else carries your emotional presence. Nobody else makes silence feel meaningful the way you do. Nobody else leaves such a lasting impression simply by existing, and deep down they know it. That realization is becoming increasingly impossible for them to ignore. But here comes the revelation they never expected. The thing they struggle to accept about your appearance is actually the very thing that helps them trust you emotionally. Your imperfections make you believable. Your natural emotions make you comforting. Your honesty makes you unforgettable. In a world full of people pretending to be flawless, you feel human. You feel genuine. You feel safe. That's why they keep returning emotionally even when they attempt to create physical distance. Because their soul finds peace around yours. because your presence offers something they rarely experience: a feeling of authenticity, a feeling of emotional safety, a feeling that they can finally stop pretending. This person is reaching a point where hiding their emotions is becoming harder than expressing them. The signs are already beginning to show. Their behavior is slowly changing. Their attention toward you continues growing stronger. Their emotional walls are gradually weakening. And when the truth finally reveals itself, you'll understand every confusing moment that happened between you. You'll understand why they stared a little too long, why they became unexpectedly quiet, why their energy felt intense around you, why they continued returning emotionally no matter how much distance existed between you. It was never indifference, it was never uncertainty, it was never simple attraction. It was a deep emotional connection they could not fully explain. A connection that continued growing even when they tried to resist it. And now they're approaching the point where hiding those feelings hurts more than admitting them. This story is not moving toward distance. It's not moving toward confusion. It's moving toward clarity, toward emotional honesty, toward the moment when this person finally stops fighting what their heart has known for a long time. That you became important to them in a way nobody else ever has. And once someone reaches that level of emotional attachment, nothing remains the same afterward. Because some people enter your life quietly. They arrive without grand announcements, without dramatic beginnings, without obvious signs. Yet somehow, they leave permanent marks upon your soul. They change you in ways you can never fully undo. And this person, they're approaching the moment when they have to stop pretending, when they have to finally be honest with themselves and with you about how deeply you matter.